So you know what you're going to study. You've written your hypothesis and null hypothesis, and you've familiarized yourself with the background research on your topic. The next step is to figure out how you're going to collect the data to test your hypothesis. We can't talk about how to choose a different technique if you don't know what the techniques are. We will briefly cover the most popular ways a researcher collects data, and then we will look at why each one would be selected. For the sake of ease, let's say you're interested in studying the effects of cookies on productivity. Experiment, defined as manipulating a component to see if the manipulation has an effect on other aspects of the participant. Surveys, defined as collecting opinions and stories from people through questionnaires, interviews, or similar techniques. Archival, defined as a process of reviewing already collected data and analyzing it. Observation, defined as viewing and recording ongoing behaviors in a naturalistic setting. So we have all the different ways to study how eating cookies affects your productivity. But as a researcher, you don't have to do all of them to get your data. All you need to do is pick the one that fits your question you want answered. What do I mean by this? We are interested in how cookies affect productivity. This is a fairly broad idea. Let's ask a more specific question to illustrate what kind of technique we would want to choose. Will eating twice a person's normal amount of cookies increase their productivity? Here we're asking about changing something to see if it has an effect on the subject. We are going to increase our participants' cookie intake to see if they become more productive. This type of question, manipulating a component to see if it affects other aspects, would lead a researcher to choose to do an experiment. Experiments are selected when you have control of some aspect of the research, allowing you to say that X causes Y. Are people who eat more cookies more productive? In this question, we're wondering how people are without creating an artificial situation. We are trying to understand the natural world without manipulation. So we would go out and ask people about their productivity and their cookie consumption. This type of question, collecting information through surveys, questionnaires, or interviews, would lead a researcher to select the survey technique. A researcher often selects surveys when they are interested in understanding a sample of the population as they are. A sample means a portion, anywhere from 1% to 99% of everyone. What has the literature discovered about cookies and productivity? Sometimes we want to know what has already been done, or we will take a look at what has been done, but at a different angle. This means we will need to have a thorough review of the literature instead of interacting with participants. This type of question, using already collected data, would cause a researcher to select an archival study. In addition, looking at already collected data from one experiment, a researcher using archival data is capable of combining several research studies into one, finding something that the individual studies could not. This is known as a meta-analysis, and is a statistical analysis of similar experiments pooled together. Does a group of students study better when cookies are present or absent? A researcher may want a more active role in understanding the research question than just by asking people about their cookie consumption, but not want to remove the aspect of realism. One question has to do with watching students attempt to study when cookies are present. This type of question, where you observe and record what you see, is an observational study. A researcher may select this technique when they have easy access to a population and want to see how people really act. After you know what you're going to research, you need to look at how you can best study what you want to learn. Experiments, defined as manipulating a component to see if the manipulation has an effect on other aspects of the participant, is a good choice when you can control something and see what happens. Surveys, defined as collecting opinions and stories from people through questionnaires, interviews, or similar techniques, are good for collecting information about people in the natural world. Archival studies, defined as a process of reviewing already collected data and analyzing it, is a good choice when you have research you can already use. Another type of archival study is meta-analysis, defined as a statistical analysis of similar experiments pooled together. Lastly, there is observation, defined as viewing and recording ongoing behaviors in a naturalistic setting, and would be appropriate when you have subjects to study in their natural environment.